One day, a woman finds that everything she thought she knew about her husband, the man of her dreams, is a lie. As she's reflecting on her soon-to-be failed marriage, she remembers her vows to have and to hold through sickness and in health until she lands on the last line, till death do us part. Hi, I'm Cam,
And I'm Dev.
and you are listening to season 2 of the Criminalish podcast, a true crime podcast where two best friends exchange stories ranging from the wild and wacky to the downright messed up. So, since we're kicking off season 2, we wanted to give y'all an extra episode to start off the month. But before I get into today's stories, what you drinking, friend?
I am drinking my favorite wine, I guess it's my favorite family of wines, which is the Apothic family. Love her. But I have the Cabernet today. So I have the Apothic Cabernet. She's cute. She's good. I like her. She's 13% alcohol. So we are having a good time, a very good time. What are you drinking, friend?
So I am drinking straight vodka. April Fools is water. It's water. I'm actually drinking some rosé wine. You know, we had to give it to you because we are releasing this on April Fools, so I had to give y'all a little joke. But yes, I am actually drinking this rosé. It is from a French winery, a company called Vanderpump, product of France. It is 13%, and it does not have any notes, but my note is that it's pretty good.
You actually got me, friend. I was like, wait a minute. Is it that kind of recording session? We're taking shots of straight
Yo,
vodka?
this much would be crazy.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, we were just talking, like, we were literally right before we turned the cameras on, we're talking about how, oh, we're so grown now. We don't go out and drink like we did in our early 20s anymore. And just a straight cup of vodka. We're doing great.
2 shots of vodka.
Two shots
Yeah,
of vodka.
that would
It was.
I
It
would
was
not be
just
able to
so.
finish the story.
Yeah. It was. I'm sorry. It was just so perfect in context of the conversation we just had.
But all right, so before I get into the actual story, I do, of course, want to extend some trigger warnings. So the story today will deal with the topics of substance use, abortion, and domestic abuse. So, Dev, today I'm going to be telling you about the murder of Trey Charles. Have you heard of this story before?
No, I have not.
So I will say, just as some context for this case, a lot of the background info was missing, but I did try my best to fill in the gaps. Most of the information in this case actually came from interviews with the people who were involved. So I couldn't find his exact birthday, but we do know that Trey Charles was born in 1980 in Atlanta, Georgia. He had a tough home life growing up. His father was addicted to drugs and alcohol and actually died of a drug overdose when Trey was just 10 years old. He was raised by his mother and he had one sister, Sharon. We don't have much info on his upbringing, but as an adult, Trey was passionate about digital creation and app development, and he specifically wanted to build his own app. But at the age of 38, it seemed like Trey was down on his luck. One of his big projects had fallen through, and he found himself alone at a bar in the middle of the day. But to his surprise, the bartender lets him know that the only other woman who was at the bar with him had sent him a drink. And the woman introduces herself as Christina, and they strike up a conversation. Trey soon finds that his mood has been lifted by this woman, who, on top of being beautiful, is also extremely funny and engaging. Now, let me say this. Trey is also a catch. He is actually tall, dark, and handsome. Call back to season 1, episode 1. And he's also very charismatic.
Okay, actually tall, dark, and handsome. Love that. One of the brothers.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't find much background info on Christina aside from the fact that she's 23, but the pair are soon married in a small ceremony in August of 2017.
Whoa. I'm counting about 15 years, my guys. If the math is mathing, there's 15 years, my guys.
The math is mathing.
Got it.
Now, the first couple years of marital life is bliss for Christina and Trey. By September 2019, Trey has founded his own social media startup named Turnster, and he has dreams of being the next Mark Zuckerberg, which is not a man I would dream to be. But that's just a note on my part. But aside from that, the company is taking off and they already have 100,000 subscribers committed to the app before it's even been launched. But everything isn't perfect. Because Trey is the founder and CEO of a startup, he's working a lot and his job often comes first. In one incident, Trey was meeting Christina's cousin for the first time, but he got called into work to handle an emergency. Christina obviously was not happy. For one, this cousin that he was meeting was really like a sister to her, and the cousin didn't get a chance to visit often. Trey promised Christina that he would make it up to her, while also reminding her that this is what being a supportive wife comes with.
I'm not gonna lie to you, and maybe this is just a me pet peeve, but nothing pisses me off more than the whole, well, this is what you should be doing. If you love me, if you support me, you should just be doing this instead of just apologizing for how you messed up. Don't tell me how I should feel. If I want to be mad, I'm gonna be mad. God dang it.
I feel that because it's definitely one thing, because two things can be true. Your job demands a lot of you, but I also feel neglected as your wife and partner. And let's work through this as a couple.
Exactly. Both things can be true.
On top of the fact that Trey is always busy with work, Christina is a stay-at-home wife and often finds herself bored. Dev, you're making a face.
I am. Because Miss Ma'am, my sister in Christ, how you gonna complain about being neglected and you're like at oldest 25 and a stay-at-home wife? I'm just saying. If it were
I'll find a
me,
hobby real quick.
hello, I would start a small business selling candles.
Shoot, if I don't need the money, I'm knitting. I don't know. I'm gardening. I'm finding a hobby.
I'm gonna have something to do. It's gonna be something I'm passionate about. I'm gonna love it, and I'm gonna be sure to swipe his credit card when I go do it too. What you mean? You're playing the game wrong.
What Christina really wanted was a child. She stated herself that she came from a big family and always pictured herself having a lot of kids. But due to Trey's upbringing, specifically the fact that his father had always blamed Trey and children in general for the downfall of his marriage to Trey's mother, Trey was scared of having children and told Christina that this was a non-negotiable for him. You got something else to say, Dev?
I do. I got so much to say. Because quite frankly, this is an argument I keep having with somebody close to me. You already know what I'm talking about. But if somebody looks you in your face and tells you they will not give you children, you need to leave them. Here's how I look at it. I'm 26 years old. I would like to be a mother in the next 10 years. If I found somebody whom I loved and I loved dearly, and I felt like he put every moon in the sky, every star in the sky, the world revolved around him. He put the H next to the O to make water. If I felt that way, and he looked me in my face and told me he would not give me children, I would leave him. Because it's just that important to me. And I feel like some people need to be more honest about their non-negotiables, especially when it comes to having kids, because right after money, that's the other thing that breaks up most marriages. And y'all got to start being more honest about that.
I definitely agree, because I'm the opposite, where I know that I don't want children. At least I don't want to birth them. So if I were meeting someone and it was a non-negotiable for them that they wanted to have children naturally, then it just wouldn't work out. And you have to be honest with yourself, because I know I could not date someone who definitely wants children born naturally, the same way that Dev knows she can't date someone who does not want children. So, Christina, girl. So while me and Dev know our non-negotiables and know that the option is just to leave, Christina was not really of the same opinion. And her boredom got the best of her, and she decided to just go off of her birth control, hoping that the quote-unquote surprise pregnancy would shake Trey out of his fear and make him excited about their future family. Unsurprisingly, Trey was furious upon finding out that Christina was pregnant. This was something that they'd agreed on, and Christina had gone behind his back to fulfill her wish. To appease her husband and atone for her lies, Christina decided to get an abortion. I will say Trey wasn't necessarily pushing for this, but he also didn't make a big effort to talk her out of this or brainstorm other solutions. So, about a month after this fiasco, things are seemingly back to normal. One morning, Christina wakes up to find Trey already on his way out the door. And when she asks him where he's going, he lets her know that his mother is homesick and he's going to go take care of her. Christina wants to go with him, but interestingly, in their 2 years of marriage, she's never actually met his mother. So this doesn't seem like the best way for them to meet. Trey promises that they're going to meet soon and that he'll be home in time for dinner. It's given Risa Tisa.
It's definitely given Risa Tisa, because how you marry a man and you ain't met his mama? And his mama is allegedly still alive. It's different if his mama's dead, but even when I dated a dude, this is gonna sound messed up. When I dated a dude whose mama was dead, he at least took me to her grave. Like we got that serious. He took me to her grave and we left flowers. So like that's weird to me. That's weird to me. Because especially if she's close enough to where he can visit.
So at this point, Christina is a little bit suspicious of Trey's claim that he's going to see his mother. So she decides to follow him. And she follows him for more than 2 hours until he pulls up to a house in South Carolina. She sees him get out of the car and be greeted by a beautiful woman, probably in her 30s. The two hug and walk inside the house together. At this point, Christina is pissed. How dare he use his sick mother as an excuse to drive 2 hours away to cheat with God knows who. So when Trey gets home, much later than promised, Christina is sitting there, Mrs. Incredible style, waiting for answers. You know what I'm talking about? How Mrs. Incredible was sitting, turned on the lamp.
Of course.
So she confronts Trey with the fact that she saw him with a woman much too young to be his mother and accuses him outright of cheating. Upon hearing this, Trey laughs at this accusation and tells Christina that the woman she saw was his sister Sharon, who had flown in from Chicago to surprise him and his mother.
I wish a man would look me in my face and laugh if I accused him of cheating on me. So you think this is a game? You think this is a joke? That's crazy. How dare you? How dare you? Even if it is ridiculous, even if she really is your sister, which oldest cheating line in the book, but okay. Even if she is your sister, there's not like, oh, wait, babe, let me calm you down. Let me try to make it seem like things are better. No, I'm going to laugh in your face. That's how much I care. I'm going to care so much I laugh at you. Got it.
So as we've already seen, Christina is built different, but not necessarily built in the right way. So she takes Trey's explanation at face value, and she actually feels embarrassed and stupid for even jumping to such an assumption. She apologizes profusely to Trey, and he just brushes it off and makes light of the situation. So the next morning, Christina decides that she's going to make things right. And she drives the 2 hours over to the house that Sharon is staying at to offer up some cookies that she'd made and properly introduce herself.
Period. I love it.
When Christina rings the doorbell, she's greeted by Sharon. But after trying to introduce herself, Sharon seems confused and tells Christina she must have the wrong house. Christina says, quote, "I thought you were Trey's sister. I'm his wife, Christina." Sharon, who seems genuinely confused, responds with, quote, "You can't be his wife because I'm Trey's wife," end quote. Christina is taken aback, but she doesn't even have the time to ask any follow-up questions because Sharon slams the door in her face. Late that night, though, Sharon calls Christina back over. And Sharon introduces herself as Ashley, which is her actual name. And the two realize that they are victims of the same man's plot. They realize that everything they thought they knew about their husband was a lie. And I'm just going to go through some of these lies. So you called out the age difference, Dev. Christina thought that Trey was 30. But as we know, based on his birthday and the date, Trey was nearing 40 years old. Trey had told Ashley that both his parents had passed before they even met and that he didn't really have any other family. Trey also told Ashley that he was a traveling realtor who had properties across the country, which interestingly enough is actually what Christina's brother does.
Now he stole a career.
He said copy paste.
And didn't credit his sources. That's crazy.
And I think this might be the worst of all. Even though Trey had told Christina that he never wanted kids, Ashley revealed that she's actually 2 months pregnant and that she and Trey were planning on having at least 2 children.
Oh no. Oh no. I don't even.
Foolishness.
Yes. Like I don't even know what to say right there because like here's my thing. I don't understand how men have the time. How do you have the time to entertain this foolishness? How do you have the time to knock up two women? How do you have the time? Two wives who they think are wives. How do you have the time?
Literally.
I don't understand.
And I work at a startup. I'm not even the founder, CEO, and I'm busy. And so I can't imagine you're the founder, CEO of a startup, and you have the time to entertain not one, but two women. Not just entertain, wife. That's a whole different level of commitment, time commitment. But I also think that's why Trey had said that he's a traveling realtor. That gave him the excuse of, oh, I got to travel to this location. I got to travel to this house. I'm also pretty sure realtors have to get certification by the state as well. That's just me.
I'm also 93% sure you're correct. So here's my question. Did him and Christina have a wedding? Did he plan a wedding with this woman? Or did they go to the courthouse?
Yeah, so it was pretty much a courthouse ceremony with a honeymoon after. And clearly she never met his mother, so people weren't really present for it. But the same deal with Ashley. It was a small ceremony. Trey and Ashley actually met at a wine bar a little over a year before, when Ashley was feeling down on her luck after being stood up. And similar to him and Christina, they struck up a conversation and they were soon married within a couple of months.
My man said, I am the marrying kind. Damn.
So that night, Trey calls Ashley to let her know that he has to work late and won't be coming home. Next, he calls up Christina, who is in the same room, to tell her the same thing.
Don't tell me what I think is going to happen, Cam. Please don't. I don't want to be right.
Anyways. So after realizing the depth of his deception, Christina and Ashley are distraught. But they decide to move past their sadness and band together to take down this man who's ruined their lives. Instead of confronting him again, they plan to collect as much information as they can. Christina follows Trey and finds that his lies go even deeper. She follows him to a house and sees him embracing and kissing another woman. And to make matters worse, this woman has a ring on that left ring finger.
Trey, why?
So Christina and Ashley decide to get more information on this woman and eventually follow her to a restaurant. Although they were trying to be discreet, they weren't doing a really good job, and the woman notices and approaches them. They claim to be talent scouts working for Turnster, the social media app that Trey's the founder and CEO of, and say that they're looking for a model. The woman introduces herself as Kimberly. And when they mention Trey Charles as the founder of the company, she seems confused and notes that her husband that she recently got married to has the same name. Soon enough, Christina and Ashley drop the bomb that they are all married to the same man. Kimberly is, of course, shocked at this information because just like everyone else here, she thought she'd found the one. So just like Christina and Ashley had already planned, Kimberly agrees that the best course of action is to find the most information that they can and move forward from there. So that night, Trey comes home to Ashley. She tells him that she's in the shower and he goes to take a phone call. But instead of showering, Ashley is actually spying on him and overhears him on the phone saying, Quote, is everything in place? Yeah, 10 million each, just like we talked about. That's 30 million total. End quote. The next morning, Ashley reports this information to her now, quote unquote, sister wives, and they realize that Trey is referring to the life insurance policies that he has on all of them. In order to get more information, the women plot to get into his laptop and copy all of his files onto a USB. He comes home to Christina that night, and she is able to get into his laptop after he dozes off on the couch. The next day, the women are going through the files from his laptop and confirm that he has $10 million life insurance policies on all three of them. And he is planning to have them killed and funnel the life insurance money into offshore accounts. Why is he doing all of this? So in looking through his files, they find that Turnster was actually in big financial trouble, and Trey was planning to use this money to get the company out of its financial hole.
Baby, there's this lovely thing called a business loan. It's not funny. It's not funny. But Jesus.
Yeah. But rather than sitting in sorrow, Christina, Ashley, and Kimberly decide to get the ultimate revenge. So I told you that this was the story of the murder of Trey Charles. So now I'm going to get into the plot to kill Trey Charles. So because they have access to all his files, Ashley is able to find the person that Trey hired to kill them, a man named Garrett, and she offers him nearly double what Trey had to be a part of their plan. Christina was in charge of getting Trey to their planned location, which was the penthouse room in a hotel that Trey had always wanted to stay at. For a little bit of context, Trey was planning a big launch party for Turnster, and Christina was framing this as a congratulations gift. Ashley had also swiped a universal access key card to this hotel, which allowed Kimberly to get the uniforms that the hotel cleaning staff wears. So Christina meets him outside the room and tells him that his surprise is inside, but she'll need to blindfold him first. She leads him inside the room and takes off his blindfold, and he sees not only Christina, but his two other wives, Ashley and Kimberly, smiling at him. They confront him with the knowledge that Trey not only married all three of them, but was also planning to kill them. He tries to deny this, but when that doesn't work, he decides that he'll just leave. But when he goes to the door, he runs into Garrett, who attacks him with chloroform. And while he's out, Garrett ties him up and does this thing where he basically hangs him off of the balcony with this sort of like rope harness. So the sister wives, Christina, Ashley, and Kimberly, basically have control of whether he drops or stays suspended in the air. So when Trey finally comes to, the sister wives are taking turns yelling at him, calling him out for his lies and the hurt that he caused them. And eventually, once they'd all had enough of his lies, excuses, and manipulation, they leave the room and Garrett comes in. He unties the rope and Trey falls nearly 20 floors to his death. The women got out of the hotel by changing into those cleaning uniforms that Kimberly had swiped, and they walk away. So, on to the investigation. Unfortunately, I couldn't find much information on the actual investigation and trial, but we do know that initially there was not much of a huge investigation into the crime because it turns out Garrett's brother was actually the chief of police, and he'd given him some of the money that he'd earned from the hit. But this clearly was not a case of suicide, and someone had to go down for this. So Ashley ended up taking the blame for the murder and claimed self-defense. In her defense, she brought up the fact that this was her third marriage, and in her first marriage, she was a victim of domestic abuse. So in her mind, after finding out that Trey was planning on killing her, she was simply defending herself. Due to the self-defense claim, she only got 10 years in prison, and she actually got out in 3 years for good behavior. So on to where we are now. Ashley did end up having Trey's daughter, and Christina actually watched over her daughter while Ashley was in prison. Kimberly and Christina each received the $10 million payout from Trey's life insurance policy, and they each put $5 million into an account for Ashley. They also profited significantly from their shares in Turnster, which became extremely popular after Trey's death. So, Dev and audience, you're probably asking yourself, how do we know all this information if Kimberly and Christina were never charged? And to that I say, April Fools. This entire story is actually the plot of a Tubi movie called I Hate You to Death. I had to go quick because I could tell Dev was like thinking, calculating, realizing that things didn't add up. And I'll also say I had to fill in a lot of the plot holes.
Of
Because
course.
classic Tubi movie, things didn't even add up when I was watching it.
Of course not.
Like, this man had a random British accent. For Kimberly, he was apparently British. But I think he was actually British, but he was faking an American accent for Ashley and Christina. I also did change their names. In the movie, his name is Trevor something. I forget his last name. Trevor Manning in the movie.
Not you said I can tell she's putting it together. So I just got to keep talking so she doesn't interject.
Because 10 years for murder and you get out at 3 is crazy. That's white man time.
That is white man time for sure. Well, look, you did that, friend. You did that. I actually do want to go watch this movie. I bet it's horrible. But
I will say I'm going to rate it on a Tubi scale.
okay.
And on a Tubi scale, it's about a 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
But the Tubi scale adds about 3 points.
Right.
So on a real movie scale, it's a 3 out of 10. But on the Tubi scale, it's a solid 6 out of 10.
Okay. How does it compare with our stripper turned detective? What's the movie called?
Movie. Oh my gosh. It's better than that one. It's better
Ebony
than that
Hustle.
one. That was
Ebony Hustle. That's what it was. Yep. That's a movie right there. That's a 12 out of 10 on a Tubi scale.
Oh my gosh. No, that's a 3 out of 10 on Tubi because it's a 0 out of 10 in real life. But the worst movie I've seen on Tubi, actually, it had to be, oh my gosh, what was that movie even called? I don't remember what the movie was called, but in one of the scenes, I feel like the actors kept forgetting their lines. So one of the scenes, they shot so far away where it wasn't even cinematic, but I just feel like they couldn't remember their lines. So they were like, okay, y'all just act like you're talking and we'll just allow you to just do a voiceover over this scene.
I'm not, yeah.
Yeah.
See, but I will say though, my favorite part of Tubi movies is randomly when the audio goes to shit, it sounds like this and nobody can understand what's going on. That's my favorite part of a Tubi movie, when the audio cuts out.
My favorite part of Tubi movies is when you can hear the smoke detector beeping in the background because they need to replace the batteries. That's my favorite part of Tubi movies. But audience, I hope that y'all enjoyed this story and all the ups and downs. Dev, do you have any clarifying questions for me on some of these plot points? I may not be able to answer them.
Clarifying. Okay, we're dealing with Tubi movies. Very generous of you to call it a plot. Very generous.
You're right.
I don't think I have any clarifying points, but what I do know is we might have to do a Patreon watch party of this movie. It might just need to happen because I think I just need to see it. I think I need to see it in all of its glory.
Yeah, and I will say I told this story in a very linear way. The movie is not done that way. It's very anachronistic where you're going back and forth in between different points in time. And I just had to make up certain facts, like the dates non-existent in the movie. So I just had to make up certain facts where they are non-existent in the movie. Had to make that up as well.
I appreciate your level of care to make up this story and make it up well. I do.
Because I was like, if I tell this story how they told it in the movie, you would know immediately.
Right.
It's just not real.
Right.
Even with the way I told it, there's things that are clear where it's like, is this reality?
It's given that's not real. No, and I do appreciate you because y'all, if y'all don't know, me and Cam will sometimes like strategically like pause for the other to speak so they can put their thoughts into the video. If you notice, for the last probably 15 minutes, Cam was just talking, just full steam ahead, and just letting me sit over here stupefied, confused about what the hell was going on. So, very good story, Cam. Very good story. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
And thank you so much to our listeners for joining us on this episode. If you'd like to check out this movie yourself, it is free on the Tubi app. Again, it's called I Hate You to Death. Like I said, it is a 6 out of 10 on the Tubi scale. On the real movie scale, 3 out of 10, if that. We will be posting screen grabs from this episode tomorrow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And that is at Criminalish Podcast on all of those platforms.
Listeners, if you like what you hear, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to the Criminalish Podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, feel free to leave any comments or questions. As always, stay nosy, my friends. Happy April Fools. Bye.
Bye.